Well, thanks for joining us and for that lovely piece by Sir Elvis. Somebody says, Aish, that Elvis can sing. Kudos. And it says, Kirigo has been lonely for a long time, but while citizens are away, Willis, doing her good news. That is great stuff. And then a wonderful comeback. All this is a message. Thank you so much, you who are writing in. And somebody says, Elvis should not go away before he sings another song. And of course, we'll give you Elvis after this interview. So stay on with us on Power Breakfast. But now we want to look at the politics and current affairs of the day. And one of the issues that has occupied this country is the change of the election date from August, the first Tuesday of August of the 5th year, to the proposal, now it's a bill in the House, to move that date to the first Monday of, is it the third Monday?
Third Monday of December.
Third Monday of December. Yeah. And the person who is moving that particular bill is none other than the Member of Parliament for Ugenya, David Ochieng, who joins us this morning to discuss a little bit about that, as well as the Young Parliamentarians Forum, of which he's the secretary. Let me put it that way. So, David, Karibu, let me call you by the first name, namesake. All right. So, tell us, first let's start with the Young Parliamentarians Forum. Here you are the secretary. What is it all about, and what are you guys up to?
No, that's right. Thank you so much, and I'm happy that you're back, and I'm sure so many Kenyans are also happy that you're back.
Yes, yes.
This was quite a long,
it was a long 20 days.
So some Kenyans say it was a very nice time because there's not so much noise. So,
Yes.
Yeah, and David.
Yes.
Being young is not a very unique thing, right? And having young politicians and leaders in Kenya is also not a very unique thing. We've had very young people in public service, we have very young people in politics since independence. And you could name all of them. The immediate former president was a Secretary of Kanu at 32, remember? We had Matiba being Secretary at 28.
Yes. And Gowon as president at 28.
28, yes.
Right. The Nigerian president.
So this is not a very unique situation. Yeah. The guys you now call the luminaries, my Senator Orengo, Nyongo, Raila Amolo Odinga, these are guys who joined politics at a very young age. So there's nothing unique really in it. The only thing unique is the fact that having years ahead of your life should be able to help you as a young leader to do things differently.
Right.
In my opinion, and in the opinion of the many young MPs in the current Senate and National Assembly. Now, the so-called Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association is not new. It was started way back, I think, in the 7th Parliament by the likes of Honorable Gitobi Manyara, the likes of the current Deputy President Ruto, were the initial members.
Founders, yes.
Yeah, actually the founder members of the association. The current Supreme Court Judge Njoki Ndung'u. These are the guys who started this public association. Yeah. But in the last two parliaments, there was some lull in it. And largely because, for example, the last parliament, there was a coalition. And people tended to pull together, and there was a lot of, so there was not much room to stand out. So when we came in, one thing unique about this National Assembly and Senate was that we found out that there were so many MPs who you would describe as young. And young, according to our constitution now, is below 35.
Right.
We've got a number, almost, I think, those who are young and those who feel young. We have 47 members. And you could name them from
a wide range.
Yes, a wide range of, ranging from the Senator Sang from Nandi, through Gatobu from Buri, Honorable Sylvan Sosele from Kasipul, Senator Joy Gwendo of Senate, and you could name Lesuda.
Yes.
We have Sakaja, Ken Obura, we have Mahura, there are a number of them. So we thought that because of our numbers, we could use our numbers to probably do a few things at the National Assembly, but things that, one, target the youth, and two, try to harness the energy of the young member of parliament for a good purpose and for a good use. And lately, we also find that this young member of parliament is the one that is so endangered, even at the party level. And I'm sure we'll discuss this going forward. Yes. But what we really thought we needed to do was to also help the young person, the high school student, the university student who would want to join politics in future, can we get a way of nurturing this kind of ambitions and aspirations?
Yes.
So this is part of the things we do. And during our time also, you find a lot of programs being put together to help the young people.
Yeah.
But they hardly do that.
Yeah.
Remember in the last government, there was this Kazi kwa Vijana and all that. But you didn't find so many young people benefiting. Now we have a new framework. We are saying that we want 30% of procurement opportunities in this country to be taken over by the young people.
Yes.
Now, 2 years down the lane, you find that very few of them are benefiting. And what we are doing now as KYPA is to ensure that we have instruments and tools put together to help enable, these young people to access business opportunities, because there are so many. And doing that based on a very telling story in South Africa, when they put together that thing called the Black Empowerment Program, and we ended up with a few blacks, benefiting. Yeah, and we're seeing that happening also in Kenya today, where you said young people will benefit, but Mutegi here and yourself are going to have your sons, if you have those that are above 18 years old, opening companies, giving them the monies, the ones taking the tenders. Yeah. And we claim that young people are benefiting. Yes. So the idea is just to do that. Yeah. And we have a strategic plan as Kenyan MPs Association that we're implementing. We launched last year, and it has 4 pillars: largely on education, employment and job creation, health, and what you can call knowledge nurturing. We are trying to ensure that people get knowledge at every level, tertiary institutions, for example. Yeah. Kenya is coming to a level where we actually worship degrees. Yeah. And we're saying we want our people to be more technical.
I'm a bit concerned. Okay, my concern is about, you've outlined the aspirations and motivations and plans. Yeah. In terms of actual footprints, how far have you gone? Because especially on the mentoring part, where you say you want younger leaders in schools and so forth. There's a big problem at the universities. I mean, where we see kind of, there's no mental shift in terms of leadership at the university level. It's still that.
That's right. There is, and again, David, and take the level of leadership of students now, if in your opinion, has gone very low.
Yes.
It's no longer what it used to be.
That's what I'm saying. It's still not
when you were there.
And yes, I won't even call it raw. I would call it naive. It's not purposed. You know what I mean? It's not purposed really. And what we've done in that regard, and we are now 21 months in Parliament, but as you can imagine, we started really moving after the first year in Parliament, and like these last 2 weeks, we've put more energy actually in high schools. We've been sending our officials to high schools. I think last 2 weeks we did Machakos County, part of Kisumu County. We're just talking to the students in high school. Yes. And to tell them what leadership is about, and what basically is out there to look up to. And so when you talk to them, it ranges on topics of leadership, health, reproductive health, choice of career, soft things, not radical things, things that would make them look forward to leaving school and going to do things. Yeah. And for example, this week we had results of KCC released. Yes. And there's always this feeling that if you don't get a C+, or if you don't get an A, you failed, which is very wrong. So we're trying to prepare our children to make them understand that not all of us can be doctors, not all of us can be lawyers, but at our level, at every level, whether you've got a D+ or an E, there's always room for everyone. And this is what we're trying to do.
I mean, the country is big, David.
Yes.
It's big. You are 47 or less members of the Young Parliamentarians Forum.
Yeah.
What is your outreach plan? I mean, you can't go to all these schools unless you have national caucuses or regional conferences.
I was coming to that.
Prefects or people like those.
I was coming to that. Yeah. Like for the universities, and we were quite surprised when we called the first forum of universities in Nairobi. And we made a mistake. We booked a small space at Lillian Towers here in town. Yes. We had planned to have 400. Ended up with 2,000. And these were university students. We're talking to them about leadership, about entrepreneurship, and all that. And what we discovered at that time is that the young person lacks basic information, sometimes basic survival information that would make them really go through the university, And so after that initial meeting, we've been able to go back and reorganize that program. And in the month of May, we now hit the road again. We're going to go to every university, talk about these things, and just not just talk about these things, but also get the views of the young people on how they want to be governed, and how best they think, even us as young MPs, who can help them going forward and where they think we failed them, even as young MPs.
How do you get your finances? How do you finance those projects?
Now, 3 ways. Currently, members contribute. Therefore, 7 of us contribute through checkoff. End of every month, I get to pay 5,000 shillings taken from my salary to the accounts. It's a registered association, so it goes to the accounts of the association. We got donors. I don't know whether I should name them here, but we got a number of donors like Ford Foundation, like National Democratic Institute, IPAS. We got a couple of donors helping us with this. And the main thing is that we want to own our programs. We want to own our projects, and that's why we're putting our own money.
So do you have an office with staff?
Yes, we do. Yeah. We have an office and staff here at KCC, and we're actually having plans of removing it from town to a more friendly area where anybody can get in, and tool it with kind of staff that can engage with the young people on a daily basis. I know we're doing that in the next 3 weeks. We've got enough resources now to open a bigger office where we can invite you to have tea, coffee, croissants, those kind of things. Okay. Especially you guys used to do those days at the universities.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Now let's look at the legislative agenda.
Yes.
That's where really it matters most.
Yes, this is very important.
People are looking forward to a difference in the, in the caliber of contributions and the caliber of legislation that will emanate from younger parliamentarians.
That's right.
And you are quite, as you said, many. How come you can't influence even the culture of parliament itself?
I agree.
In fact, it looks more rotten than before. I mean, looking at what has happened.
We could discuss what we've said last for a whole day. But the point is that
output.
Yes, part of the reason we decided to come together was to help members of the association to be better legislators. We are first-time MPs, and no one taught you how to be a member of parliament. You get in there and you really have to
swim.
Yes. Yeah. And so part of what you're doing is to organize forums for members to basically improve their capacity, build the capacity to participate and to be better legislators. And that will be like in the next 1 week. We have got an expert coming to talk to our members of parliament in Mombasa, 13th and 14th, because of what you just said.
Yeah, but this is late, right? Isn't it?
It's late.
Months down the line, you have another 20 left.
It's late, but remember, David, and I want you to understand this, that you're not just young members. We are members of parliament with duties as members of parliament. Yeah. And one of our core roles was not to form...
But what I'm saying
is, let me
how to legislate after 21 months.
No.
That's a bit late
it's always ongoing. Let me tell you, learning is always ongoing. Yeah. And as you can imagine, like I've told you, people have challenges at the constituency level, for those who are elected especially. Yes. And you find that, when you're elected, the first thing you want to do is, my constituents, my constituents. Yes. Yeah? But the reason we're doing it, even if it's late, is what you just said, that somehow the voices of young people are getting lost in this cacophony in the current assembly. And that's why we said even if it's late, we still have 3 years actually, 2.5 years to go. Yeah. And so you could still influence so much what's going to happen. Like yesterday, we were debating a bill that was actually sponsored by KYPA, the bill to entrench the policy, the 30%.
Affirmative action.
Yes, this was moved by Honorable Sakaja, who is the chairman of the association, sometime last year, April. We passed it in April.
Taken a whole year.
Yes, and this whole year, we took it to Senate.
Yeah. And I put in there whatever to include disability, people with disability.
Yes, but it took a long time, a whole year, because April up now is a whole year. One of the things we're doing, we now have, before the Assembly, National Youth Service bill, and a couple of proposals we've made on education. You know that part of what has happened now, scrapping the KCP exams, was part of the push that we had as young members of parliament.
Which is controversial. We don't want to get into that. Why would we scrap KCP exams?
No, not exams, but I mean the fees.
Ranking.
The fees, no. Ranking, I have reasons why personally I would support scrapping of ranking. Yes. But I'm talking about payment of school fees.
Oh, fees for
KCP. Fees for exams. You find parents calling you, pay 800 shillings. Some of them can't afford it. Right. Okay? Yeah. So basically the idea is we have a proposal on the table now on creating an employment bureau for the young persons, placement bureau for the young persons. People go to the universities nowadays and they cannot get internship. Even where they can pay for the internship, they can't get opportunities. Government institutions are not taking young persons as interns or as trainees or as apprentices. And we want to make a law to ensure that this happens, that if you're studying, whatever it is you're studying arts, sciences, we know that some company in the area or some government corporation must create opportunities and chances for you to learn. Because there's this talk about you know, we are training zombies. People are coming out of the universities, can't work. They are not tooled for the job market. And this is really one of the ways. Get a way of having a law that imposes, a rule that will make sure that people get to train from second year of the university going forward.
Well, what's the difference between a young parliamentarian and an old one, apart from the number, age? When it comes to
the behavior,
the contact,
no. That's what I told you. There's one, it may not be unique. But you see, as a young person, I think there are things you can easily avoid, in my opinion.
Naturally, you are the ones who are more malleable, more
vulnerable,
more in need.
I don't think so. I don't think, quite to the contrary.
Because politics is expensive.
No, quite to the contrary, in my opinion. The reason, the fact that you are young should make you be able to see yourself as a person who still has longer years. For example, the point of view that I take personally is that I have so many years in my life that if I'm elected the first term, I should ensure, and this you should check from Ugenya, I should ensure that I work for my constituents 100%. Because I don't have a reason to start looking for money and start amassing wealth and all that. The reason I went to parliament, for example, and most of the young MPs, is that there's a lacuna they saw. And if you go to Buri, for example, where Penalty comes from, you'll find he's done so much work connecting every school to power, connecting every home to power, and he's put so much energy in education, right? If you look at how Sakaja is, yes, but if you look at the kind of interventions he makes in parliament, they're not just pedantic. So you go to Ugenya in 21 months.
Yes. No, there's good feedback about you and Ugenya. In fact, I've had a lot of messages already coming in congratulating you for what you're doing in Ugenya. Great stuff.
And this is why we went to parliament, so that you're able to do a few things.
The work you're doing in Ugenya proves that we have an MP who has a vision for his people. That is somebody you're called Ward Japan.
Yeah, that's the difference. Has been member for Ugenya even when I was very young. Are you saying you are young, you are youth, and that of Orengo is different?
Not quite. And I'm telling you this one, you must be sure that whereas when my senator, and I love him so much, by the way, because he's one of the reasons I went to politics, because he did so much.
He was your mentor.
As a young member of parliament. Times were very different. That time, people were fighting for democratic space. People were fighting for, looking for people who could hold it all their own against Moi and Kenyatta those days. And they were able to do that very well. And even this constitution that we have today, were it not for people like Orengo, you don't have them, right? And so the times are different. Whereas that time, the mantra was, we must free Kenya. We must create space. Now, Kenya is free, and I won't be able to, I won't tell Kenyans or people in Ugenya that I want to free them. No. They want to develop. They want to see the fruits of that freedom. Tell you that Orengo brought freedom. What are you bringing?
Now, the Constituency Development Fund.
Yes.
The courts have said null and void. Is that
no, I agree with courts in one respect.
Yes.
And I disagree with them in another respect. Okay? First of all, Madam Mutegi, one thing we must learn to do as a country, and especially for the young persons, is to learn to respect the law. And learn to respect our institutions. The courts have said, and they're giving good reasons, by the way, they're saying that we can't be oversighting and purport also be able to decide what happens, right?
Exactly.
And they're not saying CDF is wrong. They're saying, what they are saying is this, that can you research a CDF in such a manner that it removes you from the day-to-day operations.
So if it's removed from you, then how do you develop?
No, not quite. I don't think it
because you're saying you want to develop Ugenya. And they use the CDF to develop Ugenya.
Listen, and I want to listen very carefully.
Yes, please.
When I went to Parliament, Ugenya didn't have anything in terms of tertiary institution. And in less than 8 months, using CDF, 100% CDF, we bought land, 15 acres, put up a teachers training college that I handed over to the, and if you look at the news, I handed over to the PS Minister of Education this Monday this week. 100% CDF, bought land, built classrooms, built dormitories, and told the ministry, we want you to bring students. We admitted last year, we started building in June 2014, we admitted students in October 2014.
That is so well.
Now, I'm just using that as an example, that if a community decides that this is what you want to do with it, then it will go a very long way in doing this. Now, what I think could be done with the CDF is this, that, and this is done elsewhere, what the MP would be doing, and the people, is to identify those priority projects, those priority community projects, and then forward it to the national board, so that the MP does not have a role to play in. For example, for me, the pain I have every day as a member of parliament is someone knowing that I've that I have some influence over CDF. So people want tenders from you.
Yeah.
People think you are influencing those tenders, even if you're not doing. Okay? And for me, I think it wastes my time.
Right.
Really. So if you have a kitty where I'm able to determine which ways I want.
I get you.
Yes.
And you know, talking as young leaders,
Yeah.
and we have this principle of separation of powers.
That's right.
And the distinctness of institutions
Yeah.
of the executive and the legislative function.
That's right.
And now we have devolved government,
Yes.
national and county.
Yes.
Isn't it time, or don't you think it is time to rethink the infrastructure of our development or our governance so that all these funds can actually be put under the county government? And then you can have a role there so that actually at the county level, because counties can then know which constituency is where, which ward is where, and from its budget, allocate the monies based on the same needs.
Definitely.
So that we remove the MPs from any of these fundings.
David, you're talking to the converted, really. You know, when the county governments came,
Yes.
I'm one of the ones who say that if the governors run the counties very well, and I still hold that opinion,
Yes.
that if the county governments are run the way they are supposed to be run, there will be no need for anybody to start saying channel monies through, even the national government. Because the point that is being made now is that, you know, we have national government functions
Yes.
that are not devolved, and therefore you need money on the ground. Well and good. But if you had county governments working well, the way they've been planned to work, there will be no reason for even the national government to say, you know, channel the money through another channel. So fix the county government structure. Let them work. And
Now,
then,
shouldn't that be your work to fix the county government?
No, I want to answer your question.
Yes.
And I want to answer it well.
All right.
Right? You see, the governors have decided that one, for example, they don't want to be oversighted by the Senate. Senate was set up largely to oversight the county government.
Yes,
They are saying they don't want to be. When they try it, they go to court. Right? They are saying we are government on our own and we don't want to be disturbed.
No.
Right? So no. This is what they keep on saying. That's what they keep saying. And this is very wrong.
Wrong.
You see, once we come to understand the full breadth and the full import of the new constitution, and everyone understands their role very well, there will be no need for people scampering for money. You know, but the reason people are scampering for money is that governors are fighting MPs, MCAs are fighting who. So there's a fight, and that's why everyone wants to have a resource on their hands that can influence things that are being asked for by the 190.
Yeah, but that's why now.
And secondly,
now, David,
okay. You go to the ground there.
Yes.
The closest money has been, and county governments have now been there for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I have a feeling they're being judged too soon, in my opinion.
Yes.
But they have not made efforts to ensure that the public, the grassroots person, appreciates, and understands that this money is actually your money. Yes. That's why they're still saying CDF should be the thing, because this is the closest they can get to public money. Yeah.
Now, that's why still it comes back to the work of a parliamentarian. To fix those shortcomings, whether they're legislative in nature or administrative in nature, they still fall under your docket.
I agree.
So if they were having challenges with governors, being rebellious, defiant, obstinate, isn't it in your mandate to actually legislate in a manner that actually clears all those doubts and puts those structures in place administratively?
In my opinion, let me tell you.
And wouldn't you guys lead that?
Kenya is one of the countries in the world that has so many laws. In fact, Kenya is, in my opinion, over-legislated. We make law for everything, even for determining how you're going to take tea.
Yes.
And this is simply because we don't respect the law. We don't have the spirit and the soul of what you call constitutionalism. You know, the law is made. You cannot write everything else into the law. But when the law is made, you understand the import of the law and operate, work, and operate in a way that this law was meant to work this way. Yeah. You want, for example, if the governor says, I'm going to work with the MPs, you won't legislate that. The other day, Senate was trying to create a framework where you're going to have a body at the county level where the MP, the senator,
county
the
development
board. So that we sit in there. And you know, if you think about it, that time the media said the MPs are trying to muzzle the governors. But if you think about it, this would have been the first step of trying to render what you're calling the CDF unnecessary. Because once you have a system where you can plan together, you can say that me as the MP for Ugenya, this is what I want in this ward, this is what I want in this area, then you have room for doing that. But when we do this, someone says, oh no, you're now trying to muzzle the
So
governors.
in short, you have given up. You have said, because this is a man eat man, rest for yourself.
No.
Find the least opportunity.
No, you don't give
you
up.
can get to go up.
No, you don't
because
give up.
if you hadn't given up, then you would be the ones fronting, leading that onslaught to fix those things, rather than conform to what is an anomalous situation of having funds going all over some executive functions.
Like today's newspaper, where you have taken some money which was supposed to go to governors, given to CDF, you have given to women, you have given to Senate.
I've seen that. I've seen that.
Yes.
Again, this is
simply.
they don't show much leadership.
This is. I agree absolutely with you, by the way. That where leadership, if leadership doesn't trust each other, if you, for example, I don't trust that my governor will act in the best interest of my constituents, okay? The governors don't trust that the presidency or the national government will act in their best interest. The MCAs don't think the MP will act in their best interest. Then you'll always have these silos. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I want my fund. The MC wants their fund. The MP wants their fund.
The
the
women reps want their fund.
Everyone is looking for a fund now.
Yes.
And this is simply because of the pressures that there are on leadership. Pressures that there are that you as a woman MP, what have you given us? Why did you give you votes? Okay? But so the challenge is in structuring our county government structure in such a manner that everyone, wherever they are, if there is fire somewhere in a school somewhere there, me as MP, I'm able to make a call and say there's an emergency. Governor. Can you please, you know,
to deploy
not to the governor, to the systems created by the county government structure, so they don't depend on the individual. And you see, the fact is the governors that are giving the devolution a bad name. Devolution itself is a very good thing, but it's the way the governors have honored themselves, the way they're acting as if, you know, this is our thing.
President.
You know, they're the ones giving devolution a bad name. So if we could work around this, and as leaders agree that this is a new thing, yes, but we must make it work. We must make it work whichever way, and probably try to build some level of trust. The appointing question, for example, here is this, that everybody who is sick in Kakamega and in your area says, I want to access a dialysis machine, I want to access health services. The president brings these machines, the governors say you are not consulted. Okay? So these are the kind of things we're
well, but they should have consulted them. I mean, their desire to be consulted is not a bad thing.
But that's the point I'm saying. That's the point I made. That there's distrust at every level. The governors distrust the presidency.
All right.
You know, so
let's look at something that is core before our time is also running out. The movement, the bill to change the amendment, the constitutional amendment to change the election date from the second Tuesday of August to the third Monday of December.
Yes.
A lot of differing opinions about it. What motivated and what makes you think, as the move of that motion, that is an appropriate proposal?
David and Mutegi, been around in this country for a while, not for a very long time. But the bill that I moved is self-explanatory. What I say in it is this, that looks like I've lost it. Let me just
check it up.
But what I say in the bill is this, that this amendment is to ensure that the date of elections reflects the unique circumstances and tradition of Kenya, the current date of the general elections unduly disrupts the education calendar, the tourism high season, and the aspirations of a section of Kenyans who are not able to get time out of their busy schedules to take part in the general elections at their place of preference. Let me just leave it at that.
But
and explain.
Yes,
when the writers of the Constitution, that matter was debated at length.
It was, and I've gone to those materials,
and
there was no magic. I want to tell you this. There's no magic.
There
was no scientific magic or formula for having August.
It was popular demand, popular wishes.
No, it wasn't popular wishes. It wasn't popular wishes, and I would advise you to read those documents that are the discussions at Bomas and all that.
Right.
See whether there was any magic in having August date. But there's everything right for a December election. Now, you live in this country, and I want to give just the three reasons I've read here. I don't want to go out of it.
Yes, let's stick with
what I've written there. Election is going to happen on August, second Tuesday of August.
Yes.
8th of August, to be precise, in 2017. That's my opinion.
Yes.
Some people are saying 2018, but I think it's 2017 because that's the fifth year, right?
Yes.
Now, you do elections on August 2nd. You do a runoff sometimes in September. If the court-induced runoff is in October.
Yes.
Exams happen in this country in October.
Yes.
And November. These schools are the ones we use as polling stations. This is the time students want to revise, have exams. And I think this simply, I don't want to really
that's really,
I don't want to belabor the point.
Secondly,
Secondly, David, in the last 2 years, Parliament has voted huge monies to be able to revamp tourism. And simply because of what happened last year, last year, Westgate and insecurity and all that. And we're saying that the August is the time, our prime time in tourism, right? Now, if in 2017, if after every 4 or 5 years, you'll have to be voting huge monies, because our elections are very divisive, and that's the time most guys don't want to come into Kenya. So if every 4 or 5 years, we're going to be doing this high season, and you know, if one single high season that goes on like now is gone down, the tourism industry slumps in a very big way, right? So you don't want to be pumping money into this industry every 4 or 5 years to revamp it. Thirdly, and very importantly, is this, that after the post-election violence, and this I can tell you for sure, this could be a bit selfish, but it's very important for us to understand it. Guys from the coast, guys from Western Kenya, guys from Kisii, guys from Rift Valley are saying that, look, I want to vote in the comfort of my home. Ordinarily, that's an argument that for me I won't buy. But we've not seen improvement in security. And people are saying, if what happened in 2007 is what's going to happen again, I'd rather vote at home where I'll eat my mihogos and whatever it is, even after election. Now, guys working in this area here, guys working in Naivasha, guys working somewhere on the coast, saying, I want to vote at home. I mean, we must listen to them.
Okay.
So the best thing is vote in December?
Yes, December.
Why can't they vote at home in August?
In August, and this is the thing really again, because I need to explain that. In December, this is the time ordinarily everyone gets leave, really. Everyone gets leave, and this is the time everyone had planned to travel home, right? And people will travel home at their own times. But if you put an election on second Tuesday... But
you know, David, your arguments and of course the reasons are legitimate, but also there's the flip side of it.
Oh, definitely there is.
The flip side is that, of course if you have the elections in the third Monday of December, which is going to be around 20th or thereabouts, okay?
Yes.
And you have the same runoff.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
You're getting into January, the next year, again schools will have opened.
There are no exams in January.
But David, schools will still have to close to allow for voting to happen.
David, there are no exams in January.
So exam at least is
there are no actual exams in January.
Yeah.
You can postpone the school term.
You can postpone it. But also there is the argument that school terms are being changed, and the ministry had put out a new calendar for change of the school terms.
The last time I checked, that was revised.
Was revised?
Yeah, they said they're going to stick with
what
January.
we have right now.
Yes.
Okay, finally, let's
there's an argument that I wanted to abuse Kenyans from.
Yes.
That, because I've heard it over radio, and you know, the kind of bill I brought, most MPs would shudder because they think people will bash them and all that. But if you have good reasons for doing anything, as a young person, don't shy off. Just do it. And God will take the hindmost of the cases. But the point is, MPs want more money.
Always.
Want, you know?
They want an extension.
Now,
of course,
if I woke you up at midnight and ask you how long does an MP do in Kenya, how long will you tell me they do? 5 years, right?
Yes.
Now, if you do elections in August or December,
they will not have marked 5 years.
No.
No, but the point is, that was an acceptance. That fact was taken when we had the first election.
Remember,
the first term,
remember this was court-induced. Remember, this was court-induced. And you cannot, you cannot discount the chance that someone will still go to court and say, we want to do
That's why others are arguing about 2018.
Yes, this is happening.
Should these matters not be sorted out now so they don't become subject to political manipulation?
That's the point. That's why I said, bring it early. Let's have a discussion. Let's have a discussion, and if it comes to Kenyans deciding on it, let's then go to the people.
Okay, if we make it December, Monday, third Monday of December, I hope it's not going to be third Monday of December 2018.
No, in fact, the bill is very clear. Yes. Because I'm assuming that once settled on December, and most Kenyans are agreed to it, then it will be December for at least for a long time, right? And so you don't fix the year.
Okay.
Because you already talks about the 5th year. Yeah. The 5th year.
Yeah,
right?
but the argument, as you've just said, is that members will feel like they have not marked the 5 years by 2017. No, but if you some mischievous people who want to move it to 2018.
But David, if you go to 2018,
if it's December, then it will have to be December of that year.
I've had arguments about that, but as soon as you go into March 2018, you're in the 6th year. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let that hold for now. Knowing MPs are capable.
Anyway, I think we have to go for the referendum to do this.
Now, again, that's an argument that I think we need to discuss.
Yes. Yeah. What is the process?
255 talks about there's times when you may have to go to a referendum, and the argument being put by Chair and the Commission, and this is something that for us has been disturbing, because when I first read the bill, we asked IBC and the CIC to tell us whether they thought this thing would require a referendum, and they said no. But now, when they realize that, for example, this thing will probably affect the term of the IBC commissioner, they said, no, this thing must go to a referendum, right?
Yes.
Now, the reason they are saying this should happen is that this will affect the term of the president. Now, if we go to the materials that led to the discussions leading to adoption of that particular article in the Constitution, what we are trying to do was to stop a president from changing the Constitution to get a third term.
Right.
It's about a third term,
yes.
right? It wasn't about, like what you're doing here.
Yeah.
It's 4 months. These 4 months is still within the within
5
5 years. And in my legal mind, my feeling is that this thing does not affect the term of the president in a manner or in a way that was contemplated by the Constitution in the sense of a third term.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there goodwill? And because there's a lot of pull and push. Your party has said, if you're going to allow us to make any change to the Constitution, then you accept these others.
Yeah.
How you handle that?
The electoral commission.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, and this I also heard that people are saying that this bill I brought it to basically send the commissioners home, right?
Yes.
And of course, other people are saying, you know, I brought this bill to extend the term of the president, right? So these arguments from both sides. What I can tell you that at the National Assembly level or the Senate level, the date will pass.
You're not looking at these other consequences.
Now, these consequences look this way.
Of IBC?
For IBC, and I'd request for just 2 minutes, if you don't mind, for IBC.
Wow.
For
IBC.
IBC.
Let's borrow 2 minutes from my director.
You've been in this country.
Okay. Yes.
You've also been in this country. And one thing you guys didn't point out, when we appointed the first IBC commissioners, is that we should have staggered the appointment so that we have the non-commissioners leaving office the same day.
Yeah. Exactly.
How would you do that? Yeah. How do you do that?
The parliamentarians are the ones who did that.
That's the point I'm making, but you are here, you always here on your seat. Secondly, now, with the date or minus the December date, you must handle IBC for this reason. That if you're going to run down with me, if you did elections on August 2nd or August 8th, and you have a runoff, the first runoff would be done around towards the end of September. If someone doesn't get the 50+1.
Yes.
Now, the runoff that is court-induced, that is always most probable.
Yes.
Elections have to be done 60 days after. 60 days after the 21st of August takes you to October around 21st, 22nd. The commissioners go home on the 9th
of November.
Would you want to do, is it probable, is it good for us to do an election with a commission that goes home just 1 month or cannot do a runoff?
Well, I agree. So are there any discussions to hammer this thing out?
Definitely.
Clinically, hygienically, to make it,
one of the things that I'm happy about this bill is that this bill has opened that debate.
Okay.
And we need to engage in it. And I'll be happy to come back next time to discuss the issue of IBC.
All right. We have to leave it there. Thank you so much, David Ochieng, a member of parliament for Ugenya. A lot of comments from you, your constituents, of course, saying, you're a great guy doing development-oriented MP. Somebody says, I come from a neighboring constituency and we are jealous of what you're doing in your constituency and so forth. And people say they followed you, Lesuda, Sakaja, and they believe you. But what is needed is honest leadership.
Yes.
And he hopes that you're going to put up, move this agenda forward and lead, change the face of parliament.
Thank you.
We didn't talk about corruption, which also mentions young people, among them the chairman of the PAC, which has been suspended. But I guess we'll get another time, David, to look at all these things. But now we must listen to Sir Elvis, because a lot of you people want to listen to him some more.
Yeah.
And keep watching Power Breakfast.
Yeah.